Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marvel-ous Movie Mondays with Kelsey and Dill. Kelsey, you're the first half of that Kelsey and Dill. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Dill. How are you doing as the second half of that, Kelsey and Dill?
Well, I would respond with I am Groot, but my chair is not tall enough. There we go. To show off the shirt. I haven't pulled the shirt out in quite a while.
No, it's
Um,
been a minute.
I've been wearing my Hulk shirt for the most part because it's
Yeah,
obviously the
well,
topic of
to
conversation. But
theme, to theme.
he's off in space, so we're talking about She-Hulk. That is She-Hulk episode 5. We're talking about it now. Let's just get into it. But before we do, it's funny because I was just gonna say let's get into it, but I forgot we have news, and that is kind of a carryover from last week. If you watched our episode last week, we were live updating the D23 Expo, and
Hmm.
it was for the most part I thought very satisfying. There were things we knew were coming that we just got reconfirmed, like Anthony Ramos in the MCU, stuff like that. But then there was stuff that like we knew was coming, but we didn't know, confirmed like casting for, like Thunderbolts. I thought was exciting, especially like David Harbour. I don't think anyone knew
Hmm.
he was going to be a part of that. And some logos, and we got two trailers, and I thought that was satisfying. Obviously, though, a lot of like the fanboys, a lot of the big fans who you know and tend to this is all of our faults, tend to see news on the internet and immediately roll with it as truth, even though the sources may not necessarily be 100% correct, getting upset that there was no Fantastic Four news. And I understand it's disappointing if you thought it was going to be Fantastic Four all day every day.
Mm.
The thing is, and some people are saying, well, Kevin Feige confirmed it. Yeah, he confirmed we'd know more news about Fantastic Four, and we did get that. We got a director. Matt Shackman for WandaVision is directing it. Like, that is news. But I feel like
Hmm.
because people always go to the extremes, the 11 out of 10s, it's like, you know, they expected a cast. They expected to know how the thing reproduces, because we've been wondering that on the show for so long. Like, they want all the answers to everything, and it's like you
Oh
can't
my
just get
god.
that. You can't get all the answers for everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think we got some good answers though. Like, how do you feel about just the news drop in general now, having processed it for a week? We could talk about those two trailers, Secret Invasion and Werewolf by Night, if we want to. But like, how did you feel about just the overall news haul? Are you disappointed? Were you misled by people on TikTok who claim they know everything about everything?
Dill, I wasn't disappointed by any means. We got so much good stuff last podcast. I'm just so proud of last podcast just like as a whole, just because I feel like we were tackling so much at once.
Yeah,
And in my humble opinion, I think we did a great job. But no, I think that, this really shows when the fans can sometimes be a little ungrateful because, Kevin Feige and Disney, like they don't have to do these huge conventions where they announce a bunch of projects for the future and tell us cast and give us like pictures and titles and all this fun stuff. Like this is all just very, fun things that we
extra.
get. Yeah, it's all very
Mhm.
extra. It's not a necessity. And the fact that we just got, I think that's a huge announcement. I think that, what's his name? Mark Chapman? What's his name?
Matt Shackman, not to be confused
Matt
with Matt
Shackman.
Chapman, who competes on Marvel Trivia as Matt Fisto.
I'm
It's
like,
funny
what's his
because
name? Matt Chapman?
we were on our Game of Thrones draft day, and Corey mentioned like, yeah, Matt Shackman, baby, because Matt Shackman directed for some episodes of Game of Thrones as well. But he
Yeah.
was like, yeah, Matt Shackman, baby, and Matt kind of like perked up, like, what? Mishearing his name. It was very
No,
funny.
yeah. But I'm
We're
excited
gonna
for
run
him
into
to be
that
the
trap a lot.
director for Fantastic Four. I think that he did great things with WandaVision.
Mhm.
You just mentioned that he has directed some episodes of Game of Thrones, a very successful television show. So I'm super stoked. I think that that's like enough. And we have to keep in mind, like this movie doesn't come out until 2024. It's not a
Yeah,
2023 release. We
right.
got some time here, people.
And even
We
then,
got
we
some
still have
time.
2022. We have Wakanda Forever, Werewolf by Night, and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special
Yeah.
still to come this year. Plus, how many more episodes of She-Hulk? 4, I think. We're getting 9 episodes. So it's like, I don't know why, like,
Oh, we
this
are?
is, yeah. But I don't know why, like, and I get why. I shouldn't say I don't know why. I get why people are upset, but it's like, you guys create the expectations for yourself. Like, you don't owe anyone upsetness except for yourself. I can't really speak right now, but
Yeah.
let's speak about the trailers really quickly. Let's start with Werewolf
Yeah,
by Night, because
totally.
that's coming like literally less than a month. It's coming in a few weeks. Directed by Michael Giacchino, like I said, first time director, not the first time composing. This looks cool. This looks very different. It's being marketed as a special because it is very much not canon from what I can tell. It is very much Marvel inspired in the fact that, like, yeah, it's like superhuman shit going on, but it's much more of your like grindhouse horror, black and
Mhm.
white throwback film. How do you feel about that? Because I don't know anything about this property comics wise.
Yeah, no, me neither, Dill. I from what I got from the trailer, I'm super excited. It looks like super different. It's really just like a totally different genre and a totally different take that Marvel's kind of dipping their toe into. It was giving me like Night of the Living Dead vibes. The
Hmm.
music was giving me
Yeah.
Psycho. You know, as
Yeah.
a big horror movie fan myself, I was like I'm super pumped about this one, I
Yeah.
gotta say.
Especially because of like the old school horror too. Like you mentioned, those
Hmm.
films are how many years old? The '60s. So it's like it's been
Yeah.
so long since we've seen, or '50s and '60s, but it's been a while since we've seen films of this style. Because you don't see films like that anymore. Like all the new horror either is like social commentary horror, which is really great, or it's like big spectacle horror or monster
Hmm.
horror, slashers, jump
Yeah.
scares, but not like the classic stuff that we haven't seen in such a long time. So I think it's going to be
Yeah.
exciting, especially you have a composer. I always love when composers direct as well. Like John Carpenter, who directed the original Halloween, is also a composer, and you can see how that music is so iconic.
Yeah. Yeah, for
And I
sure.
think this is a similar instance. Hopefully, we'll see how he does. And what did you think of Secret Invasion? Because this is the one that, like, I'll admit I was not really have had any expectation for, and then when I watched this trailer, I was like, this might be my most anticipated Marvel project. Like, I'm
Yeah.
psyched.
I was not expecting to be as on board with Secret Invasion as I am, but now that I know that we're getting Nick Fury back in full swing, Maria Hill, we saw Martin Freeman's character in the
Mhm.
trailer, CIA
Yeah.
agent
Ben Mendelsohn as
Ross.
Talos, but as human Talos too.
Yes, but he's Ben, he looks like
Mendelsohn.
him.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super pumped for this one
No,
too.
I mean, this is gonna be awesome. Like it feels like it feels like the old. I shouldn't say old roots because it was 2014, but like Captain America: The Winter Soldier, like the older roots of like no more space, no more aliens, no more monsters, no more mythical arts, no more portals, no more time travel. It's just like and yes, it's about these creatures that can shapeshift. Obviously, we've
Yeah.
seen it even in She-Hulk, but the style feels more reminiscent of the early phases of Marvel. Like, and
Yes.
honestly, I feel like the more we're getting into the cosmic shit with all the time travel and all that stuff, the more I'm longing for the older stuff again. Like
Yeah.
the kind of just down to earth, gritty realism stuff. Kind of what we saw in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Why I kind of like that, and I know some people don't like it. I still don't understand many of the reasons why. But yeah, like I think that style is what I've been kind of missing a little bit in the MCU, and I'm glad we're kind of getting it back. Black Widow was kind of that style too, yes, but like even more so, like the Winter Soldier style, I felt from this trailer 100%. It's a trailer,
Yeah.
could be wrong, but like I really liked it.
Yeah, it's very just like feels very reminiscent of just like a classic like spy action
Hmm.
movie,
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm excited.
So yeah, I'm very excited. So those were our little trailer discussions, just because last episode we couldn't talk about the trailers as they were airing because we were on air. But now we're talking She-Hulk episode 5. Uh, we maybe we got a cameo. We'll talk about it at the end, a big talking point. But before we get to the end of the episode, we have to talk about the episode itself, which
Mhm.
I know we've been on a mostly She-Hulk high. We've been really loving this series. We've understood the criticisms, particularly the visuals, but I really liked it. This episode was kind of like the dud for me.
Okay.
This was like the if I have to rewatch it, like this is gonna be like the oh yeah, I can skip this on the album. This is the oh yeah, all
This
these
is
are
the
bangers.
album skip for
This
you?
is the album skip for me.
All
I didn't
right,
know
all
if
right.
there was a term for it, but as a Taylor Swift
No,
fan,
but I like that,
does
Dill.
Taylor have any album skips?
No, obviously not, Dill.
For
None
me,
of
not
them are skips.
for me. 1989, it was always Bad Blood. I don't know why.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
I don't
that's
know
pretty
why.
low totem
Bad
pole
Blood
when
is
it
like
comes
like the parallel
universally.
I could draw. Like I was just
You
like,
know,
I don't know.
I actually I might agree with you there, Dale. I actually prefer the remix of Bad Blood with Kendrick Lamar. I
Ah,
think
never
that
heard of
one, ooh, banger. You need to get pumped up for something. Bad
Yeah.
Blood featuring
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar.
But you know what I'm
We
talking about, like, and we're
No,
talking
I
about
know exactly what you
musical
mean.
theater. It's like this is the wizard song in Wicked. I'm like, all right,
Oh,
next.
yeah. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. That's a
um,
better,
that's a better example
analogy for
than Bad
sure.
Blood
Better
because
comparison.
I can't tell you that a Taylor Swift song is a dud. What am I thinking? Um, let's get into it
Seriously.
though, because I want to know your thoughts. There were things I liked about it, but like this is like the dud for me. But
You know,
we'll talk
Dale,
about
I went into this episode thinking that we were only getting 6 episodes. So I was like, "Oh, this is, like, the second to
the
last
penultimate one.
episode, and we're just getting, like, Titania's character? Like, what
No, I
what
think
is
because
this
the
show?"
episodes are shorter, they're able to elongate it to 9 episodes because they're not full like 45 minute to an
Yeah,
hour
yeah,
episodes.
yeah.
It's kind of like the WandaVision formula of like every episode's a little bit shorter than normal, and we get 9 of them. But
Yeah, for sure. But, I agree with you. This one definitely, it might be my least favorite
so
out of
far,
the
yeah,
5 that we've
it could
gotten.
get a
Yeah,
lot worse.
exactly.
Could get a lot better. Who knows? I think this is
Could
still
get worse,
like I think the twerking was better than this, but we'll see.
for sure. I wanna see IMDb real quick. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
wanna ruin anything for me, but I
no,
do
it's okay.
wanna.
But yeah,
Oh,
I'll just
9 episodes, you're right.
yeah. Oh,
So
you didn't
here's
believe me? Wow,
No,
she had a
I just
fact
wanted to
checking.
double check, you know? It's
Mm-hmm.
a, checks and balances system here, Dill, okay? Sometimes I'm wrong about things, sometimes you're wrong about
Oh yeah,
things.
no, I'm
That's
very
why
wrong
there's
about
2 of
things
us,
a lot of the
to
time.
keep us in check.
That's why you got the notebook and I've got just whatever I got for, for the day. I don't even take
Alri
many notes anymore. What I do is I filter all my notes into pictures on the side that I'm going to show you for Easter eggs later, which I only have one of today, but it's going to be exciting.
Amazing. Okay, so episode 5 titled Mean Green and Straight Poured into These Jeans. Here's my little summary. Okay, so after getting sued by Titania for using the name She-Hulk, Jen and her lawyer, Mallory Book, must prove that She-Hulk is a part of Jen's identity. Meanwhile, Nikki helps Jen get a new look. Here's what I'll say what I appreciated about this episode, Jill, is that I haven't seen anything about like what her like superhero outfit is.
Ah,
This big costume reveal is actually going to be a big costume reveal because they haven't showed us anything of
right.
it,
Not
I'm
like
pretty
Hawkeye.
sure. Not
Yeah.
like Hawkeye, because they showed us that
In
episode
the
1,
poster.
that like
Yeah.
the whole title card was them in their outfits. So I'm like, why am I waiting for this reveal when I've seen the outfits?
Right.
Anyway, so that's what I did like about this episode. So we get our Marvel intro, and then we are in a She-Hulk makeup line commercial. It's She-Hulk by Titania. She's releasing all of these products. The tagline is "Beauty is strength and strength is beautiful." She's really milking in on um this narrative that like, oh, like you can be strong and a big tough superhero, but you can also have fabulous skin. Like it's just very
Yeah.
funny how the makeup industry in real life really
Yeah.
sells shit like that.
Yeah.
So then we cut to the title card of She-Hulk, and it's actually been kind of manipulated. It says,
Titanified. Yeah.
yes, Titania-fied, if you will. It says She-Hulk by Titania. And then cousin Chet comes over. He comes over to ask Jen to sign some of the makeup products that he can sell them for profit. It's a pretty smart business venture. I will give him that. But Jen's like, no, this has nothing to do with me. These aren't my products. This is like this woman's just taking my name and
Mm.
using it for profit. Um, and now this is the second time where a man sits down and explains to Jen, well, if you had just trademarked the name first, you'd be able to use it legally. And I didn't pick up on the first time when the guy serving her said it, but definitely when Chet sat down,
Yeah.
and they were really honing in this theme of what we like to call mansplaining these days. And it's like, obviously, Jen, a fully capable, knowledgeable, intelligent woman who has a whole degree in being a lawyer, obviously knows what it means when someone
Right.
trademarks something and the rules and regulations that surround that. But now she has 2 different men in her life who have literally sat her down and been like, well, this is actually what it means.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, no,
I'm just
I was just
loving
gonna
it.
ask, like, do
Sure, go ahead,
superheroes
Jill.
trademark their names though? Like, I mean, in real life, yes, like Marvel does, but like, I've
Yeah,
never seen this be an issue in Marvel, and I'm
right.
surprised. I mean, I get it's only coming up now because it's a law show, but it's like it's interesting because like I don't think this has happened before, and I don't know. I'd love to know. Um,
Yeah, Jill, that's a really interesting question. I'm, like, trying to think. I'm like, Iron Man, because like, I feel like, he must have, like, a bunch of products.
cool.
Like, that kid in Iron Man 2 is literally wearing, like, an Iron Man mask, so it's like,
Yeah,
is
okay, so
Tony
they must trademark them. Maybe the Avengers like trademark all their names. Maybe because She Hulk isn't at in the Avengers yet. I don't know. Um, this is very
maybe.
interesting. Yeah, I wish there was more about like the actual real life merchandising of Marvel within
Sure.
Marvel. We got a little bit of it in Miss Marvel with like the Vendor Con, but I kind of
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
idea
yeah.
of like the corporate side of things within the universe mirroring the outside because it's a little corrupt sometimes the way
Yeah.
sometimes studios milk shit for money. But
Yeah, Jill,
I'd be curious to know the ins and outs of that. But I'm sure they're not going to give it to us because that is not interesting to the average viewer. But it's
right,
interesting
right,
to
right.
me.
But, it's like as the fandom, grows up, we're growing up right along with these characters and with this whole universe. I think that they are starting to include more of the semantics and the logistics of that goes in with being a superhero. It's no longer like we can just have this guy dress up in a funny costume and, he parades about it saving who he can when he can. Now there's literally a whole superhero law division that superheroes can go to when they need help. So I think that it's just getting smarter, dare I say. And I'm glad you bring all this up because this episode was giving me a little bit of The Boys, which is a show on Amazon Prime about
Yeah.
superheroes, and it's all about like the behind the scenes of what it means to be a superhero. It's
Right.
about what companies you represent, like how they save someone, when they save someone. It's and of course it's like every character on that show is a giant asshole, but it's like all about the puppeteering and the logistics behind everything. So that's what this kind of episode was
Yeah.
reminding me a little bit of. Obviously, it's much more light-hearted and funny and all that stuff. So it's not
Right.
exactly like The Boys, but it was giving me like the same themes and all that.
For sure.
Um, so then we have the trademarking mansplaining moment. And then so then Nikki and Jen decide to just go talk to Titania about this. They're like, you know what? She's having this like meet and greet launch party, whatever it is. Let's just go tell her that this is absolutely ridiculous. She needs to stop using the She Hulk name. And then they go to this store. I will say, for those of you who wear makeup, probably caught on to this, but the She Hulk by Titania sign that's on the front of the store is actually in the Sephora font. So it's like a
Oh,
nudge, nudge, wink,
did
wink
not
to,
know that. My mom loves Sephora. Yeah.
yeah. So Becky probably caught on to that.
Yeah.
Um, so then they go to her and she's like, too bad. I trademarked it. The name's mine. Deal with it, basically. Uh, so then Jen and Nikki are back at their office, and Jen is just talking about how she is so over it. She's like, you know what? Use the name all you want. And Nikki's like, well, yeah, you didn't even want the name in the beginning. All you've been telling me about is how much you hate the name She Hulk. So you know what? Just let her have it. And she's like, yeah, I'm totally over it. And as she's saying it, she's breaking her stapler in half. So obviously she's not too over it, but she does say that there are aspects of being She-Hulk that she really likes. The great hair that she gets, the fact that she doesn't have a hangover, and being able to walk home with headphones on and not being afraid for her life. And Nikki says, "Yep, well, that's every woman's dream," and I
Yeah.
really felt that down to my core. Um, so then we cut to a scene with Nikki and Pug. Oh my God, Jill! This was the highlight of the episode, and we didn't even get enough of them.
Yeah.
I love Pug and Nikki. Picky, if you will. Not that I
Yeah.
ship them. I'm just loving the friendship. I'm loving this
Why not
dynamic
Nug?
female.
Like chicken Nug,
Nug. I
like a
like
chicken nugget.
Picky.
Like oh, a little Nug. No,
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know.
like a
Well, chime
nugget
down
of
in the
gold.
comments below. What do
I
you
don't know.
like better,
Do you
Picky
like
or Nug?
picky or Nug? Picky makes me think of nose picking. Um,
Yeah, but
and
Nug makes me think of chicken nuggets. But I guess
yes, exactly.
okay. All right. I guess If we had to
It's okay.
compare nose picking and chicken nuggets, I guess chicken nuggets
It's
is
okay.
way better.
No,
And
I feel bad now
there's
because you
no
were so
contest
happy about
there.
that name. You shipped it first. It's yours. Go for it.
Honestly, that just came to me. I wasn't like dead set on picky, but
Okay. You
I
didn't
was
have it
just
like written in your notes like picky
no,
hair.
no, no, not at all.
Okay. Okay.
Well, he does have a cute little nickname for her. He calls her Slick Nick, which I like because I love Pug. But again, I love the friendship. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so Pug needs Nikki's help with something. He's got to get online to get the new Iron Man 3s that we saw a Easter egg of in I forget either episode 1 or episode 2.
Mhm.
Um, and he's got to get online and he needs a second person with him because it's only one per customer and he wants one for wearing and one for display. Obviously, he's a sneakerhead. We're learning so much about Pug this episode. And he says that he has a guy, the drip broker, who can get him contacts to superhero merchandise. And Nikki's like, oh my God, do you think that this person could actually make a costume, some merch for a supersized human person? So Nikki's on her own little conquest here
Yeah.
to get either Jen Walters a suit, some merchandise of her own, something along those lines. But Nikki's on it. So her and Pug go to a boba cafe to meet his guy. Alonzo is his name. And then they walk in and it's seemingly just a boba cafe. They're standing at
Yeah.
the counter. The guy's just trying to take their order. And he's like, what can I get you? And he's like, oh, my friend Alonzo sent me here, for the superhero stuff. And we have this really out of pocket joke that Nikki then says to the um, gentleman who's just trying to take their order who works at the boba
Mhm.
shop. She says, we're not cops in Mandarin. Assuming number one, that the Asian man working behind the counter is Chinese, and number two, that he
Mm.
speaks and understands Mandarin.
Mm.
Uh, two red flags there. So he's like, was that Chinese? I'm not Chinese.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it was just really, really out of pocket because I didn't think that like Nikki was this type of person. She seemed really up to date, really
Yeah.
woke and, was self-aware of like what's okay and not okay to say to people. So I was
Mm.
like very surprised by
Yeah,
this
and
moment.
it's not like we're gonna laugh as the audience. We're just gonna be like, ugh.
Ooh, yeah, like it was
Mm.
kind of cringe.
Yeah.
It was a little cringe, but I guess maybe it's supposed to be so that it's like, yeah, so when you do things like that to people, how cringy is that? So it's kinda like they're maybe trying to teach us a lesson
Yeah.
in
No.
just
Yeah. I
being
mean, maybe. Like
respectful to different
you can be
cultures.
all in tune to feminism, but also like out of touch with other things. Maybe is what they're trying to say. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
It was weird. It was weird. It was
It
weird.
was a weird moment. So
Yeah.
then he's like, "Okay, let me take you to the back. I'll show you my collection." And he has
Mm.
this whole collection of bootleg Avengers slash Avengers merch. It's just like all of it's like kind of right, but not really.
Right.
You know, reminded me of Dill. We both live in New York now, so this is quite relatable. It's when we see those people walking in the costumes as the superheroes, and they're not exact, like they don't look right, like that they're like, oh, this is must be their Iron Man, but like they couldn't get a real Iron Man costume, so now they just like
Yeah.
look kind of off.
It's also like the Disney characters are even worse because it's like the
Yeah,
eyes are just little beady eyes. It's like, ugh. And they also wear the heads on their own heads, so it looks
yeah.
like a head's popping out of their throat. It's scary. Those things traumatize me. I think that's where my disdain for minions stem from because when I was younger,
Okay.
my sister had a panic attack when a minion ran at her to try to hug her. And
Oh
I've just
no.
hated minions ever since because I was like, fuck you, minion. And since then, I've just always fucking hated them. So,
Yeah.
but this most recent movie kind of won me over in some respects. But like, yeah, no, I had a big
Okay.
vendetta against minions because fuck them. Yeah,
Yeah, so we see that he kind of has like toy Captain America shields, Thor's hammer, and Pug is having a great, great all time. He picks up the Captain America shield and Mjolnir, and he's just playing around in the background. And I was just like, oh, Pug, he's so cute. So then uh, this guy, whoever this guy is, working the boba shop, is able to take them to where the real, quote unquote, Alonzo is, or the real guy who makes the superhero clothing.
Mm,
So that they cut to go do that. Then we cut back to what Jen is doing at her office, and she's seemingly having a meeting with her boss. And, he's kind of really upset about the fact that there's like She-Hulk butt cream being advertised all over the city because he's like, that's not a great look for our
mm.
firm and our law division, being that She-Hulk is like, you're the head of our law division. So, like,
Right,
you
like
can't.
you're the face of our brand, essentially.
Exactly. So it's detrimental to the firm. And she's like, don't worry, I got this under control. I'm going to fix this. And he just goes, no, you're not. And he sets her up with Mallory Book, played by Renee Elise Goldsberry,
That's right,
who we met
Angelica Schuyler.
briefly, who yes, Angelica Schuyler, who we met briefly in episode
2?
three. Episode
3.
three. I had to flip back to my notes to find that. And she is all business. She's like, listen, from here on out, we are not coworkers. We are a client and a lawyer relationship.
Mhm.
And I'm only doing this because I essentially have to. So she doesn't really seem to like Jen Walters too much, which I'm
Mm.
confused about because maybe it's a thing where it's gonna be like, "Oh, well, like, I've been working at this law firm in the superhero law division. I should have been the one that had it, but then you just strolled up because
Right,
you're
well,
a superhero."
definitely, because,
Yeah.
you're essentially it'd be like if you were I'm bringing up a theater comparison again, if you're doing a community theater show and then they tell you, "Oh, you're the lead of the show. Well, we're actually gonna make you the understudy because we got the guy from Broadway to come in and do it." And it's like,
Right.
but it's our show. It's like we've been
Yeah.
rehearsing. It's something like that. Like,
Sure.
someone who is obviously more of a star, but wasn't the original person supposed to be there, like, it's a little out of place and there might be a little jealousy there. And I actually like that dynamic because then it gives the relationship somewhere to go, because we do
Yeah.
see as the course of the episode goes on they change a little bit, but even just with the rest of the series it'll be interesting to see how this relationship goes, because I like that idea of like kind of a rivalry but not stemmed out of any sort of hate, just kind of like annoyance at the system almost.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And Dill, this scene brings up the question that you had at the beginning of this episode, which was, do superheroes trademark their names? And that is and so that is exactly the question that Mallory asked Jen. She's like, why didn't you trademark your own pseudonym like
Right.
from the beginning? And she's like, I didn't realize that I had to. I didn't even think about it. Like, did Dr.
Because it's
Steven
never
Sage
addressed.
okay, what's his name? Did Doctor Stephen Strange trademark his name? Did Thor? And she's like, you literally just brought up the only two examples that actually use their own
Right.
names.
Right.
Uh, so good try. But then so they end up going to trial, and essentially Mallory just has to prove that the She-Hulk, like, it's a part of her identity. Like, this is who she is, so she should have rightful ownership to the name. And where Titania's lawyer is like, well, she only got interested in wanting to use the name after my client started using it to sell shit. So obviously she's just after our money, which is not entirely the case. So
Hmm.
then we see some uh videos of, Jen really rejecting the name. She's like, "Oh, I don't answer that name. That is not my name. Please don't call me that. It's Jen Walters." And then, there's the other clip of her on the news saying, now that I kind of have this name, I this is just who I am now. I will forever now be She-Hulk. That's just how it is. Um, so now we cut back to that scene already happened. So anyway, there was that whole thing where Nikki and Pug were trying to get in
Mhm.
to see the guy,
Yeah.
and so now we're finally seeing it. Nikki sets up a meeting for Jen and her to go to. So now we're at the meeting with Luke to get a new suit. He is the fashion guru for
Edna mode.
superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the end of mode, if you will. Exactly. That was exactly the
Mhm.
vibes I was getting too, Dill.
And why haven't we seen him in this franchise?
See,
Because like I love that idea. Obviously Iron Man, Tony made a lot of like the machinery suits and all that stuff, but like
yeah,
like Hawkeye, the LARPers made it. I get it, but like there are other suits and stuff I'd love to like see. This angle of like almost like a Devil Wears Prada about
Yeah.
superheroes. Like I'd love to see that. Like that's what I'd like
Yeah.
to watch in this franchise. If we want to go in a different direction with the franchise, I guess also sometimes magic itself can create suits, like in Thor, Doctor Strange's sense. Like I'm trying to think of other suits in the MCU and where they've come from. I can't really think of it at the moment, but like.
Well, see, that was my question, Dill. I was like, so whose suit like, who is he exactly making suits for? Because I feel like most people have they've made them themselves. Like,
Mm,
up until, No Way Home, Peter got all of his suits from it was either homemade, it was a homemade, uh, like,
right.
sweatsuit that he made, or he got his suits from Tony, and now the last suit that we've seen him in, he made himself with the sewing machine,
Maybe,
and then it's like,
maybe Edna Mode here makes suits for the school of the very what is it, gifted, talented. Maybe this is how we bring in X-Men. Maybe he's been
"Oh, the
making,
gifted youngsters?"
yeah, maybe
It
he's been making suits for them, and that's why we haven't heard about it. Because
mm,
I don't know.
maybe.
Because Shuri makes the suits in Black Panther. Like I'm really thinking about it, and like all of them,
I
they're
mean,
all
like,
accounted for.
we don't really have a backstory on Captain America's suits, on
Mm.
Hawkeye, Black Widow, like, maybe
Well,
he's the
Hawkeye's a
clo
LARPers. Remember?
well, the
Right.
LARPers stole the Ronin costume, but they didn't make it.
Right, but isn't it like in exchange for some,
Oh,
yeah.
no, 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 I mean, like,
Oh, before
pre-Hawkeye.
pre-purple.
Before the
Mm,
purple suits came in. I mean, like, before, like, for the Avengers, like, I
yeah.
guess I guess we were just supposed to assume that,
I
like,
don't know.
Shield was making their suits, but then
Yeah.
maybe he's
Maybe he
he's
works for
he
Shield
makes
or worked
maybe
for
he
Shield.
works for Shield. Who knows? We
I'd
all we
love to
know
know
is
more
that
though.
he's
Like this
working
is the
on
stuff I want
someone's
to know.
outfit.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's working on someone's outfit besides Jen, but we'll get there when we get there. Um, so Nikki goes there and she's like, "Ah, this is the She-Hulk. Her cousin is the Hulk." Uh, wow, I didn't even mean to rhyme. I'm calling I didn't even
Hello,
know it.
Dr. Seuss.
And then, she's like, she needs a suit, and Jen's like, "Wait, wait, wait, I don't need, like, a superhero suit, I need, like, an actual logistic, just, like, lawyer
Yeah.
suit, like, that's
Yeah.
that's what I need." And he's like, "Oh, well, I don't do basic shit like that, so just, like, leave immediately." And she's like, "Okay, but could you make us a suit that could help her go from human Jen to She-Hulk Jen?" And now all of a sudden he's interested. He's like, "Ooh, this is gonna be
A
a
challenge. Yeah.
challenge, something to work on. I'm so excited." The gears are just turning in his fashionista brain. So then we cut back to the law firm and we see the guy from the bad date who wanted to
Mm,
penetrate his her skin with vibranium. He's there talking to Mallory. And I knew this guy was gonna come up again, but he comes up for a different reason this episode because upon seeing this guy again, Jen realizes that she made a whole dating profile as She-Hulk. She absolutely used this as part of her identity in her personal life because she went on multiple dates as She-Hulk, and now she has to call all of these men back to testify for her in
yeah.
court. Now, Jill, I have a
Which is
question for
funny.
you.
That is like a funny little like plot development. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, that's kind of funny.
100%. Now I'm like, "Ah, so that whole montage of her going on those dates really made sense." I like how that came back
Yeah.
full
What's your
circle
question?
here. My question for you is, all right, you go on one Hinge date or
Mm.
Tinder date or whatever you're on,
Hinge.
if
Yeah,
you're
no.
on
Tinder,
anything.
fuck that. No.
Yeah, yeah, no, we don't have to discuss that here. That's none of their concern. You go on one Hinge date. And then, you have a decent enough time. Maybe you don't see this person again, maybe you do, but there's no animosity. There's no bad blood between you and this girl. And then all of a sudden, ring a ding ding, Dill. I'm actually going to need you to testify for me in a court of law. Are you doing it?
Hmm.
I'm surprised all these guys showed up.
But here's the thing. You're saying it went well. For these guys, it didn't go well, but not because of her. Like they weren't rejecting her. she was
Mm.
rejecting them. So for this,
Mhm.
this is like oh, I'm back in. Okay, cool.
Okay, so
That's where I think,
you're seeing it
yeah.
as an
The one
opportunity back in. Maybe
the
you'll get
one
a second
guy
date out of it.
the one guy who was probably like, what is the guy that actually slept with her and woke up the next morning and left. Um,
Mm.
but even then, like maybe he's like, yeah, but she was hot as the green one. Well, like I really do think a lot of them are like swayed by the fact that there's this beautiful woman asking for them to do something for them. Like
Sure, sure.
if a date went well for me and they were like, "You want to testify in court?" I'd be like, okay." I'd ask why and like ask what the circumstances, and it's just like just to prove that like I am who I say I am. I'd be like, "Yeah, no, sure. Why not? I mean, like it's the least I could do. If it's gonna help you and I'm gonna be part of what saves you and helps you, like sure." But also like from these men's standpoints, these are men who were rejected by this woman and probably
Mm.
want to get in her pants, which is not the right, angle to look at it, but
That's
it's
not
true.
the
Like
right
like this guy's
motivation
this
here.
guy's like, I want to penetrate that skin with that vibranium, so I'm gonna come back for her. If she wants me, I'll come back for her. Like, no, that's no, you know what I meant. But like, that's what I'm
It's
saying is
just a
there.
double entendre. I can't.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't think it has to do with like I think these men are more desperate than they let on, and if
Okay.
anyone calls, they're coming.
Yeah, and I love how each of them got up on the stand and was like, "Oh, well, even though I was clearly rejected, I rejected her, to be clear." Um,
Yeah, it's not true.
anyway, but still, this is what I'm saying is that you shouldn't need whether or not you're attracted to a woman to motivate you to help her. You
No, I
should just
know.
help a woman.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. For
She's a
me
human
personally,
being.
I would answer the call as long as it wasn't like a sketchy thing. Like, well, I murdered someone and I'd be like, no, no, no. But if she was like, I
Oh,
just need you to clear my name, I'd be like, yeah, sure, fuck. Like, I'd ask the question of why. I wouldn't just say,
sure.
yeah, sure, without asking, because it could be something crazy. Like, no, I was like, I ran a meth empire and I needed, like, I wouldn't do that. But it's
I
like,
was the Walter White of
right, right,
New
right.
York
I was the
City.
Walter White of the Lower East Side. But like I do think like if someone called and was like, "Hey, can you help me out?" and gave me a reason, I'd do it. Just to do it. But these men is what I'm saying are probably more motivated
They've
by
yeah,
something else,
ulterior motives.
hoping to maybe if they help her out, they'll maybe get a little bit of what they didn't get before.
I think I would just do it for the bit. Just to say, like, "Dude, I went on this one Hinge date,
Yeah.
and then I had to testify for
If
him
it's a
in court."
deranged murderer or something though, and you
Oh, no, I'm
testify
not
the
helping that
truth,
guy out.
then you're on their hit list, and that's not good either.
Or what if, like, they call you and they're like, "Hey, you're my alibi. I need you to say that we were together during this time on this day." I'm like, "If we were, we were,
Yeah, if you were, you were, and just but I'd still
but
ask
I'm
why.
not
Like
gonna
I'd be like, "What
lie."
are you on the stand for?" Like,
Right.
or I would
Sure,
just
sure, sure.
say, like, I wouldn't want to go. And I'd just be like, "Yeah, no, you know, like, I don't know if there's it's just like proven text that I was there rather than like stepping foot in the courtroom and being, vulnerable." I don't know. That's a good question though. Wow, good layered conversation here. Like that's the thing. Like this episode for me, just we'll get to it at the end, but like it wasn't particularly exciting for me. Like the whole copyright thing was like it's kind of now falling into that like it's sitcom, so like this was just the situation of the day. But like I think
Mhm.
it's just not, it doesn't have the same charm it had earlier on. I'm getting kind of like wanting it to go somewhere, even though I know it's
Sure.
a situational comedy. I want it to kind of have some sort of bigger arc that it's building to, and I don't think it's getting there yet. Like I think this is one of the more forgettable episodes, but I do think you bring up some points that now I'm like interested to go back and maybe watch it again because like I'm thinking about
Well,
things that I
they'll
wasn't thinking about before.
I think well, really what I think that the show has been missing up until this episode was Jen's main antagonist because for,
Right.
our first couple episodes here, her whole like conflict has been
Was
her
men.
juggling the life
Yeah.
between being Jen Walters and She-Hulk. And now we have really the introduction of this opposing force, Titania.
And I think
Um,
that's another thing too, is that she herself is not like a fully developed villain. And honestly, uh, I said how random it was in the first episode when she just busted in. We're supposed to know who this person is. It's supposed to be a big
right,
deal, and they forget about her, and then she comes back. But it's also like we barely know who she is already. So it's like, who is this girl? Whatever. And she's not doing any superhero villain stuff. She's just kind of like, oh, it's my name, it's my trademark. Haha, go away. Like I have not been compelled by this villain whatsoever, and I wish I
sure.
was. And I think that's another thing too, is the villain is just being introduced now, and even then, they're not really an antagonist that I'm necessarily worried for She-Hulk about. Like, I don't think she's a scary opponent right now.
Yeah,
Because like, yes, she loses the name. Worst case scenario, she finds a new one, and it sucks. But it's like, like I just don't
right.
think the stakes are there at all right now for
Sure.
this storyline. The villain, like the stakes are there for her, like in her life, balancing the Shield stuff and the men in her life. That stuff is great, but it's the stuff like with the actual law and the name itself. Like this particular instance, like just was not that interesting to me.
Yeah. No, I
I know.
absolutely I hear you. I see you. I respect where you're coming from, Dill,
Thank
100%.
you.
You're very welcome. So each of these guys gets up on the stand. It's the guy who sucks, who's like, yeah, she seemed to come off, a little try hard at times. She was whatever. And then the artist gets up on the stand and is like, she did express to me how much she didn't like the name, actually. And then our creepazoid gets up on the stand and is like, I'm just the guy that women can feel like they can open up to. So she did tell me at first that she didn't like the name, but at the end of the day, like she's really come to terms with like who she is or whatever he says. And then the doctor, the guy who she actually had a wonderful time with and ended up taking home that night, gets up on the stand and is like, "Yeah, I had a great time with She-Hulk. We had a really intense connection, but at the end of the day, like I was really only in it for She-Hulk, and Jen is just not
Mhm.
my type." Which was pretty hard for Jen to
Yeah,
hear. We could
that
see the
sucks.
look on
Yeah.
her face, like,
Mhm.
you know. So then, Mallory and Jen win the case after all of this, and Mallory is nice to Jen outside the courtroom. She opens up to
Put
her and
rum.
says, "All right, listen, I had a little bit of
No, it's
a
funny.
stutter there.
I heard something yesterday where someone said rum, and I don't know,
Courtroom,
oh yeah, go to that rum. I'm like, rum.
the
Rum's
rum,
a drink I fancy, not a
the
room.
room."
The
Or it's
rum,
like
the
those
rum,
people who say,
rum,
like, "Have you
room.
ever heard someone say rough?" Yes, up in the rough.
Up on the rough, or open the
No,
draw.
draw,
Yeah,
drawer.
nah, I know.
Yeah, I
Like I
know,
got,
but I
yeah, like open the draw. I've
no,
heard that,
no,
and it's not an
don't like
accent
it.
thing. It's just like, yeah,
I don't even know where that comes from. It's just, like, people's preferences. Like, I don't get
yeah,
it.
like Oregon.
Perf
It's Oregon,
I'd prefer if you would
Nevada,
prefer
it's
to say the
Nevada.
right version of the word.
Tomato,
So,
tomato, potato, potato,
tomato. I love how the Brits say
tomato.
tomato,
Oh
though.
my god, I know. Like,
British people, I work in a tourist trap, so
me
I
too. Oh, please, come on. Yeah, we both do.
we
We're
both do.
neighbors.
So there are people from all over the world who come
Yeah.
in to eat at the restaurants that Jill and I work at, and I just love when they're like, "Oh, does that come with tomato sauce?" And I'm like, I
And
freak out.
meanwhile,
I
you
love
work at
it.
an Italian restaurant that like 90% of the food comes with tomato sauce.
Yeah,
For
it's
me, it's
tomato
yeah.
sauce, there's garlic and oil, so
Yeah, the best is when I have
no
to give elevator
Alfredo.
escorts, and I'm just in the elevator with them, and I get like a nice 1 minute just to talk about life with these tourists. It's great. They're just like, "How's your day? Fancying you?" And I'm like, "Well, thank you."
Oh
I'm just
my
like
god,
beaming. I'm like,
it's
"Oh,
fancying me really well, thank you for asking.
yeah, no, yeah, I surely fancy the day." Um,
So Valerie turns to Jen outside the courtroom and says, you deserve better than what that guy said about you. Like, that guy sucked. You'll find better. You deserve better." And then Jen kind of uses this as her opportunity to say, "Hey, like, can I buy you a drink just like as a thank you?" Like, she's wanting to have a friendship here. She doesn't want animosity in the courtroom or in her workplace at all. So they go get drinks and, they start bonding over the fact about how ridiculous men are because Mallory says you could have literal superpowers and men will still think that they deserve better and that they can do better than you.
mhm.
And, Jen is just psyched that she's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe we're friends now." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was like super lame for me to say that out loud." And Mallory finishes the drink that Jen bought for her and she goes, "See you on Monday," and just like turns away. So it's like, oh, so close and yet so far. We were almost friends with Angelica Schuyler. So now, before leaving the bar, Mallory looks at her and is like, "I thought you were getting new clothes." And Jen Walters cuts the camera and says, "Oh yeah, my clothes." So then we go back to Luke at the underground fashion studio wherever we are. And he gives her a few things to try on. He's like, "Here's an everyday suit, but here's a little extra something I made you." And I love that we still haven't seen what it is. I'm so excited. If it's ugly or if I hate it, I will be disappointed. But for now, I'm loving the suspense. She's like, "Oh, I don't really
Yeah.
think that I'll really need this ever." And he's like, "Just say thank you." And she's like, "Okay, thank you." And then right before we cut away, Jen's getting changed in the changing room, and Luke carries over what is like an old-timey hat box that women going to the Kentucky Derby would get, with their mint juleps, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Oh, mint juleps are so good.
I never
Oh.
had one, Dill. Should I
Oh.
try?
Yeah, there's like a mint julep lemonade they do at Disney World at Casey's Corner that is like the best thing I've ever had.
Ooh,
It's like a
where's
little hot
that?
dog stand. So like after you enter Main Street of Magic Kingdom, like at the end
Yeah.
of Main Street on the left, there's a place called Casey's Corner. It's a hot dog joint. They've got like a
Mm.
bunch of hot dogs. It's actually the I think open the latest of any restaurant in the park because it's like on the way out and close. Um, based on Casey at the Bat, the baseball short from the 40s or whatever, and it's like got the hot dogs, the conies, the old style conies, the mac and cheese dogs, and all that stuff. But they got a mint julep lemonade that is like the best thing ever. It's like so
Mm.
refreshing, and it's just like, ugh, let me make sure they still have it, so I'm not advertising.
So we're not false advertising here. We're gonna
Yeah,
get people's
it's like
hopes up.
it's like slushy. It's so good.
I think you're gonna
Um,
say it's slutty.
that too. Um,
Ooh, I love a
uh,
slutty little dirty
Wait,
little
I'm
drink.
not seeing it right now. Okay. Yeah, talk about Deadpool though.
Deadpool?
Daredevil. Wow, I just botched that. I'm gonna talk about Deadpool. You're gonna talk about Daredevil. Tell me.
Alright. So on our way out of this episode, Luke carries over a hat box and is like, "Oh, this cannot be left. Does a patient doctor, what's it? Client confidentiality mean anything to you?" And right before we put a lid on this box, we see that it's a helmet with little devil horns. And at first I was thinking, "Oh my god, who are we introducing?" And then I remembered
There it is.
Daredevil,
Casey's Corner.
baby.
It is real. I looked on their menu.
Oh, there
Their
it is,
menu is
Dill.
there. It's
The
there.
mint julep.
Um, mint julep lemonade slush. Yeah, Daredevil. He's coming. We know it is because they showed him in the trailer. Which, honestly, this is
What's
my thing
his
with Marvel.
name?
Matt Murdock
Matt
or
Murdock.
Charlie Cox
Because
is
I
the actor.
always gonna call him Charlie Cox, but
You
that's
can.
the actor's name.
Here's my thing.
Matt Murdock.
Imagine how cool No Way Home would be if we didn't see the villains. Imagine how much cooler the show would be if we didn't
Oh,
know
if
he was
we
coming.
didn't okay, if
And
this
like I get it,
reveal
it's a show about a
sure.
lawyer. So like if you know Daredevil's in the MCU, there's a pretty good inkling that a lawyer is going to show up in a lawyer show. But how cool would that have been if we had no idea and we just see that helmet and we're like, ah! Like
Yeah,
I'd
yeah, yeah.
freak out. I'd freak out.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
now I'm
get you,
just
Dill.
like, cool. Okay, so he's coming next episode. Like I should not have that reaction. But and I think
Yeah.
that's also why I don't like this episode because I'm like, you're
You
like
know
teasing this thing that we know is coming.
Dill, another thing I didn't like about this episode, no PCS, no post-credit scene.
Yeah, when Kevin Feige said there'd be a post-credit scene after every episode, and that
He's
is
a
not the Marvel
liar,
fans
liar,
misleading us.
pants on fire.
That is him from his direct mouth saying that, and I'm not going to be upset about it too much, just because it's like whatever, it's a post-credit scene. But at least give Wong and Madison another scene or something. Like cut back to them. Where are they at the Sopranos binge? Or have they made it to Don't Stop Believing? Like what I need to know.
Jill, I already miss Madison. Thank you for
I do
bringing her
too.
up.
What a fun time
What a
she
fun
is.
character.
All right, Easter eggs. I do want to talk about something that happened in the
Yes.
post credits, and that is this image right here.
Oh,
He finally gets his not his Air Force Ones, his Iron Man 3.
Air Jordans, the Iron Man 3s.
I was thinking Air Jordans, but then I was thinking Iron Man 3s, and
Wow,
I
look at all
made
the
that
shoes.
and I made that Air Force One in my brain. I don't know how I did that or why I did that, but let's talk about some of these, shall we? Because
Yeah, let's look
I
at all the
don't know if
shoes he
you
has in the
can tell.
background.
I don't know if you could tell, but like, yeah, there's some X-Men back there. There's a Deadpool up there in the top right.
Mhm, mhm.
There's a Moon Knight somewhere hidden in there. Do you see right by her nose? There's the Thing from Fantastic Four. I'm actually going to rattle off all the ones that have been found online. I don't know necessarily which ones correlate, but four of the X-Men are hidden in there: Deadpool, Cable, Cyclops, and Wolverine. There's a Wolverine shoe if you look closely enough. I can't
Is
point
it
it out, obviously,
is it
because
the
I
yellow and blue one?
yes, it is.
Okay.
Or actually, I don't know if it's yellow and blue or if it's the yellow, like kind of diagonal left to it. That's the thing is I can't really show you with any sort of finger because the image is up. But we also see
Sure.
obviously there's a Ghost Rider shoe somewhere up there. There's also Falcon, Nova, Namor, Hulk, Doctor Doom, Green Goblin, Captain Marvel, Thanos, Loki. You see some. There's a Vision one there. Cyclops, Scarlet Spider, Hawkeye, Captain America, Silver Surfer's up there. America Chavez has a shoe back there. Wolverine, Cable, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Electro, and Juggernaut. So like a lot of really interesting shoes there that someone was able
I
to
see
point
a
out
Black
all of them.
Panther shoe too.
Yep, Black Panther. I just said that, or
Oh,
maybe I said
sorry.
Black Widow by accident. But yeah, like very bottom middle is with Moon Knight right there. You can kind of see the moon a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think Captain Marvel's right above that, or that's Spider Man. I can't tell.
I think
But
there
wow,
might be a spider on that shoe. I think the
like
one
how
above.
cool. Yeah, yeah, the one above might be Captain Marvel, but yeah, like just so cool in general that we're
Yeah.
just seeing all these because this could just be like a fun thing, or it could be a legitimate thing to keep an eye out. Considering we're getting a lot of these heroes, hopefully very soon. We know we're getting the Thing soon. We know we're getting Deadpool. Uh,
Mhm.
so it's only a matter of time we get the rest. But that was my cool Easter egg moment. Anything from your end? Any other thoughts to wrap this up before we head out?
Wow. Thanks for sharing that with me, Dill. I did notice that as I was watching the credits at the end of the show because I love the little illustrations that they do. You know what I also love at the end of the show, Dill? The music. I've been
Mm,
thoroughly enjoying these bops at the end of the show. I
yeah,
might
it's really great.
I'll have to make a playlist because
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
really
gonna
loving them all.
get your twerk on. So
Hell
that is
yeah.
episode 5. Next week we're not talking about episode 6 because we got a special double header trivia for you. We are gonna see Corey Ross take on Matt Fisto, and the winner will play eventually Stacy, the feisty Phoenix, now the Dark Phoenix. Morris. So very exciting. She has made her heel turn. She's out for blood, out for revenge.
Oh
Corey just
boy.
had a loss. Matt just had a win. They're both 1-1. This is going to be fun to see them go up against one another, and Stacy will be waiting for the winner. I don't know. Hopefully, Stacy will be able to watch that first match. If not, we'll see. Um, because she's got some good competition coming her way either way. Before we get into that next week, who you got in those matches there? Like, what is your prediction if you had to make like a bracket prediction
Oh
there?
boy. I feel like Matt Fisto versus Corey is that's a really good match. I feel like they're both pretty equal when it comes to their knowledge and their passion behind these movies. So that's a really tough call, Dale. I really don't know who
You're just trying to
I
play it
who I
politically
favor
safe
there.
and be nice to all our competitors. I'll tell you right now,
Listen, you
Corey.
know I favor the women when it comes to the women in
Right, but
this
I'm
league.
talking about this man versus man matchup, and I'll just say right now, Matt Fisto is on a winning streak, but
Mhm.
Corey, coming off of that loss, he's going to be hungrier than I've ever seen him, and I
Yeah,
know Corey,
that's
their
true.
base knowledge is both so strong, but I just I don't know. I feel like Corey wants that rematch with Stacy more than anything. So I'm gonna say,
Okay,
just for the
maybe.
sake of getting Corey versus Stacy too, I'm gonna slightly put my eggs a little bit in Corey's basket. But in terms of
Wow.
predictions, I don't know. But in terms of like the story and what I think a lot of people want to see, I really don't know. Like Corey, 51 to 49%. Like it's such a slim differential. And then when they play Stacy, though, I have
Sure.
not seen anyone as angry or hungry for trivia as Stacy. So I honestly think whenever one of those guys wins, I think they got a tough time against
Yeah.
Stacy because
They gotta
Stacy
watch their back for sure.
lost her first match only to Corey based on a 5 pointer that she says Corey mispronounced anyway, and then she won her second match against Chad, who was an amazing competitor. So like
Mhm.
I think Stacy takes this doubleheader at the end of the day. But that's my
We'll
prediction.
see.
We'll see. Which means Matt's gonna win it all because I predicted him and I predicted Tori and Stacy. But I love all three of them though, and I can't wait to see how they bring their trivia know-how to the stage next week. But otherwise, that is it for us. Kelsey, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You could follow me on TikTok. I'm posting on there all the time at Koz13, KOZ13. Or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Things coming in the future, I promise. Koz Productions.
Yeah. You can follow me at Dylan_Randazzo with Twitter and/or Letterbox. You can find me at Dylan Randazzo417 at TikTok and Adult Pickle Movie Network. I just posted a few days ago a review for The Woman King. If you're really getting a
Mhm.
kick out of this feminism and the powerful
Yes.
women statements in She-Hulk, I think you're gonna like it even more in The Woman King because I think it's better designed and I think it's actually got like some just fun acting like I've never seen. Like Viola Davis and Tuzo and Beidou are just and Lashana Lynch, our one and only Lashana Lynch from Captain
Mhm.
Marvel is and from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, spoiler alert, is in The Woman King, and she's also incredible. So like just if you love acting, go see it. But yeah, check out my review for that. Also, you're gonna see trivia next week, as like I said, we got Picture This coming out very soon. 2003 draft day either just happened or it's about to happen for Lord of the Rings draft day this month for inspiration for the new Lord of the Rings series. I think that's it though. Thank you all so much for tuning in and for watching. And here's one more image of those fun shoes. All right, everyone, have a good one. See you next time.